Hey, it's your book hound coming at you today with another great book review. If you like what you see here, I hope you'll subscribe. We got book reviews, special offers, all kinds of fun stuff coming at you every week. So today we're going to talk about Crisis by Felix Francis. This is a series of books about a character named Dick Francis. It's set in England, and Dick Francis is, well, he's a lawyer. That's his background, but he has a very special job. He's a crisis manager. He works for a crisis management firm. And if you work in public relations, you know that crisis management is a field where you try to minimize your clients' bad press. And that's a little bit of what they do at his firm, but his firm is more special. They are in the business of handling crisis, in other words, making a crisis go away. So he's a lawyer. He's kind of like an operative. He goes to situations where he's needed and he does things to make problems go away. And so in this book, the crisis at hand is a fire, a terrible thing. It's a fire in a stable where some very, very valuable racehorses are killed. And the horses are owned by an extremely rich Arab sheikh, a vastly wealthy man who retains this crisis management firm because he wants to make sure his reputation is good in the public eye. And so Dick Francis is dispatched to this little town in England where it's like the capital of thoroughbred horse racing in England, where and I believe this is a real place, or if it's not, it's like a fictitious version of a real place. It's where they breed all the champion racehorses in England, and they're sold all over the world. And that's one of the fun things about this book. I knew absolutely nothing about horse racing, and there's all this incredible detail about how, the really high-end horse racing world works, the way the horses are trained and bred and all that. So the horses in this case were trained at the stables of this famous horse breeding dynasty. It's like it's the grandfather, father, sons, daughter. They're all involved in raising these champion racehorses. And of course, they've had this terrible accident, a fire, it looks like an accident originally. And Francis shows up in this town, and the fun thing about Francis, he's kind of a fun character. He's not, James Bond. He's a man with with insecurities and fears. And for example, he really doesn't like horses. He's afraid of horses. He's trying not to let that show. He's also a little self-conscious around women. He's got like a disastrous romantic history. He's a man in his late 30s. He's, single, probably feels like he's going to stay single. But anyway, he gets to this town. He very quickly realizes something is not right about this situation. He's reading it like people are lying to him. Something is really off. And he resolves to get to the bottom of this, and with the goal of keeping the Sheikh's name out of this and making sure that the Sheikh doesn't look bad in the situation. But there's something, he's being driven more. He starts to act like a detective. He wants to get to the bottom of this. Now his boss, the guy who runs this shadowy, special, and obviously very expensive London crisis firm, says, you're not there to solve the crime. The police will solve the crime. Well, he's like, okay, I want to stay on top of it. I want to make sure nothing worse comes out. Well, then all of a sudden it's revealed that there's human remains in the wreckage of this fire, and the body is of the estranged daughter of this horse breeding dynasty that he's meeting. So things get a lot more complicated, and you get absorbed into it's a mystery basically. And Francis is fun because he's constantly in situations where at least to me, the reader, like, wow, what is he going to do now? Like, how's he going to figure out this situation? But he does. You see, that's what's cool about him. He's kind of like, he's not like an action hero. He's like a brain action hero. Anyway, it's a fun book, and you can tell. I mean, Felix Francis knows what he's doing with this material, and it seems like a really fun series. So if you're into that kind of thing, I'd check out the Dick Francis series and Crisis.